Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Northeast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. So you look at the temperature forecast over the next 10 days, taking us all the way into the first day of November. The next 5 days keeping temperatures very close to average here across the Northeast region, and then a little bit below average as we head into the last days of November, the early days of December. And that's because we'll end up with the jet stream pattern here with a big trough across the western U.S., broader ridging across the central U.S. here with allowing for a warm-up here across the midsection of the country. Much cooler temperatures then across the western half of the United States, the Pacific Northwest, and western Canada, dealing with some very cold temperatures as we head into late November. But with a subtle ridge here, or a subtle trough, I apologize, off the Atlantic coast here. Again, that's going to allow us for some cooler temperatures to continue to funnel in from the prairie into parts of the Northeast region as well. Over the next 5 days, it will be rather active. We've got several storm systems tracking from the midsection of the country through the Northeast, and we'll have to talk about those impacts here as we go through this video. Over the last 24 hours, we're watching a frontal boundary make its way through the midsection of the country, brought some rain to the Great Lakes all the way back to the mid-south. So take a look at the temperatures there. You can see that front continuing to make its way off to the east and to the south. Temperatures early this morning in the teens across the northern plains. Out ahead of this storm system, though, warm air advection bringing in much warmer temperatures to the east coast here, waking up to temperatures in the 40s and 50s across the northeast region. Now, as we take a look at the satellite picture, you can see the cloud cover associated with that frontal boundary making its way through the region. The last of this wave making its way across the central plains right now, bringing some snow to parts of Colorado and Kansas. This will continue to move off to the east-southeast, or to the east-northeast as we head through the weekend, bringing maybe some light snow through parts of Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, into the eastern Corn Belt, and eventually parts of the southern half of the Northeast region. Not talking about any significant accumulation from this, however. As we take a look at the radar picture then, what's going on underneath those clouds, again, a steady rain making its way along and south of the Ohio River through parts of the mid-south. We've got that snow lingering across parts of Colorado and Kansas, with rain showers, perhaps even a couple of thunderstorms across parts of Oklahoma and Texas. And we've got some precipitation falling lightly across the northeast region as well, maybe some snow falling across western portions of Pennsylvania and New York. Now, as we talk about the temperatures or the precipitation forecast heading into the weekend, watching this light rain, watching a wintry mix across northern portions of the northeast region as we get the day started on Friday. Also watching this precipitation make its way through central portions of the northeast region here, maybe even some snow again across parts of New York, a wintry mix as you head off towards the north, across Pennsylvania into New Jersey, Massachusetts, likely keeping things mostly, if not all, rain, and then certainly all rain as you head further south from there. Now, as we take this into the weekend, we do finally quiet out then. The storm system moves out of here by Friday evening, giving us a dry Saturday for many across the northeast region, the exception being late in the day across southern portions of the northeast region here. Parts of Pennsylvania, getting into New Jersey by the time we get to Saturday evening into early Saturday night, likely seeing some rain, perhaps mixing with snow at times as we head into the overnight, and then early Sunday morning, watching for this storm system to continue to move off to the east, getting out of here by late in the day on Sunday, but midday Sunday morning, likely looking at blustery conditions with some rain here across this corridor from Pennsylvania into southern and eastern New York, out along the Atlantic coast. As we talk about the total precipitation from this last little wave that comes through here over the weekend, we'll again just bring this, looking at total accumulated precipitation through noon on Sunday as this storm system continues to impact this region right here, but looking at a swath of maybe half an inch to an inch, locally higher, across southern Pennsylvania into New Jersey, and then into Connecticut and Rhode Island. So take a look at the snowfall forecast. Again, not talking about any significant snow, but through this corridor from Kansas into parts of the northeast region here, this is where we could see some snowflakes mixing in here as we get into, across this region, it would be Friday into early Saturday morning, and then here looking at Saturday morning into Saturday night. Again, the chance for a few snowflakes, maybe a trace, a coating in some of these areas that maybe picks up a burst of snow, but likely looking at no accumulation from this system, just a little bit of snow on the north end as it quickly moves out of here. So we'll look at the overall jet stream pattern then, looking at 500 millibar vorticity and just kind of diagnosing where we're heading into early next week. Here is the wave right now that is bringing precipitation to the central plains. This will continue to move off to the east. That is what moves through here Friday and Saturday, again helping to kind of reinforce the trough across this region, which keeps temperatures a bit cooler across the northeast region. It's then, as we get into Monday and Tuesday, we need to watch for this trough to begin to dig across the western half of the U.S. And here it is as we get to Tuesday. This is the short wave. This is the main wave that begins to amplify and develop an area of low pressure at the surface that then swings through the central plains into the Great Lakes. We can see this when we look at the jet stream winds here at 300 millibars, bringing it back to Friday. Here is the short wave right now that is bringing the precipitation to parts of the central plains, eventually the Ohio River Valley, and then eventually the northeast region as we get into Saturday. You can see that trough fairly well defined right here on Sunday morning. Also well defined as we get into Sunday and Monday, these very strong jet stream winds blasting in from the Pacific Northwest. This digs across the midsection of the country. Now as we get into this would be Tuesday morning, you're starting to see this trough right here, these very strong jet stream winds. This helps develop an area of low pressure at the surface across the central plains, and our subsequent storm system continuing to play this out into the middle part of the week. Then we see this ridge beginning to build. So here's our first, or the wave, the Tuesday, Wednesday wave moves on to the northeast, and then we see broader ridging developing across the midsection of the country. This is what allows the warm up across the Midwest, across the central U.S., but you look off to the north and to the east, the flip side here, these very strong jet stream winds, this big trough, this brings in colder weather to the northeast region, not allowing that warm up to nudge any further to the east. Now, as we take a look at some of the differences here, we're looking at the European model on the left, the GFS model on the right. We'll quickly move through Friday and Saturday, watching this upper level low, bringing blustery conditions, some snow to the northern portions of the northeast region here. As we get into Friday evening, continuing to deal with unsettled conditions off to the north. This comes to an end as we head into Friday night and then Saturday. But then getting into Sunday morning, watching this next area of low pressure. Again, good agreement here with this area of low pressure exiting off to the east, getting off over the Atlantic Ocean as we get into Sunday night. But then again, still Sunday evening, Monday morning, dealing with very blustery conditions along the coast, dealing with rain across eastern Pennsylvania into eastern New York, a wintry mix with some snow falling across New Hampshire, Vermont into Maine, with those windy conditions continuing into early Monday morning. As we then get into early next week, this is where we will start to see this area of low pressure develop across the central parts of the country. We're looking now at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Same thing, European on the left, GFS on the right. At 7 p.m. on Tuesday, 6 p.m., I apologize, an hour difference there with the time change. Area of low pressure situated right over Indianapolis on the right. That would be the GFS model. If you look at the model on the left, centered over the Missouri and Illinois border, maybe near Quincy, Illinois. So the European on the left is stronger but slower with that midweek storm system. The GFS a little bit weaker but faster. So what that means for the northeast region is that if the GFS were to verify, hypothetically speaking, we're looking at a 7 a.m., a Wednesday morning arrival with the storm system in the northeast region, bringing a quick hitting dose of gusty winds, some rain, and some snow across northern portions of the northeast region here. If we are to buy the stronger and slower European model solution, that would mean Wednesday evening, this area of low pressure parked over the northeast region, bringing blustery conditions, rain likely, with snow on the back side here. This would be a more prolific snow producer if we were to buy the European on the left with that stronger look, bringing, again, really impactful weather at a poor time across a densely populated area here, getting away from ag weather and talking maybe about travel weather. This could be a very disruptive storm system across the Northeast as it impacts potentially the area here Wednesday into Thanksgiving Day, especially with that slower, stronger European solution. So big potentially big disruptive storm system here as we get into Wednesday and Thursday of next week across the Northeast region. The total snowfall forecast, if we're just to look right at the GFS operational run, so just one model run, taking this corridor of snow from Kansas into parts of the eastern Corn Belt and then eventually mostly north of the Northeast region. The slower, stronger European model, though, that would probably shift the track of snow a little bit further to the south through the eastern Corn Belt into a bigger chunk of the Northeast region. As we take a look at the ensemble forecast then, this is where the GFS takes 20 plus different runs and then gets kind of an idea of where the probability of the best probability of snow is going to be. We're looking at the probability of 3 inches or more accumulating, And again, not picking up on very high values across many areas here because we still struggle with where the exact track is going to be. Each run of the model, perhaps taking the corridor of snow and doing something a little bit different with it. Different placement here gives us low confidence, low probability on where the exact track will be. We can absolutely, hope to hone in on that with our Monday morning ag forecast video, and then our next Northeast regional forecast on Tuesday. Just taking a look at the total liquid precipitation from the two storm systems, then the first one here that moves through over the first part of the weekend into the middle of the weekend here, looking at total accumulated precipitation through midnight on Sunday, the heaviest as you head off to the south, along and south of that Pennsylvania to New Jersey line. North of that, precipitation going to be a little bit lighter. Then as we head into the middle part of next week, that's when we can expect to see this next potentially disruptive storm system moving through Tuesday and Wednesday across the middle of the country. The other reason I want to show the precipitable water here is taking it out, getting again into an area of very low confidence, taking it beyond 7 to 10 days, but watching this first storm system move through here. This is the Tuesday, Wednesday storm system. You see it drawing a lot of moisture north from the Gulf of Mexico. What we also have good agreement on is as this Tuesday and Wednesday storm system, this Thanksgiving storm system clears the region, the front does not clear the Gulf of Mexico and take the moisture with it. The front does something like this where we get it stalling across the southern U.S. We then get that return feed on the back side. So by the time we get to the end of next week into next weekend, this again getting out towards the last days of November, still with the wide open Gulf of Mexico to be tapped into by a potentially a second, third storm system here getting into the weekend of Thanksgiving, Saturday, Sunday, the last days of November, first days of December, potentially watching for the development of another disruptive storm system from the Central Plains into the Northeast region. So an active storm track here, the potential for several disruptive storm systems as we head into next week across the middle of the country. Now finishing, looking at the temperature anomaly forecast, again, cooler temperatures in the Northeast region as we head through the weekend with rain and clouds for many. Warming up as we head into early next week. This is going to be as that Tuesday and Wednesday storm system begins to develop here, dealing with broader ridging across the eastern half of the country. So the warmest days of the week here fall on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in the Northeast region. Cooler temperatures come in on the backside of that storm system, though, cooler as we head into the Thanksgiving weekend across the Northeast region, meanwhile warming up across the midsection of the country. So perhaps if you are traveling from the Northeast into the middle section of the country, you are the winner. You will be experiencing the big warm-up as you head through the Thanksgiving holiday. Finishing then, looking at the high temperatures for the day today, 30s and 40s for most across the Northeast region, 50s as you head off to the south. A little bit cooler for the day on Saturday, 30s and 40s for just about everyone. Same story on Sunday, warming up as we head into Monday and Tuesday. Remember, high temperatures touching the mid-50s across Pennsylvania and New Jersey as we get into Tuesday afternoon. Your overnight low temperatures as we get into the weekend, this would be Saturday morning, waking up with temperatures in the teens to the upper 20s. Warming up as we head into Sunday and Monday, temperatures in the upper 20s on Monday morning. And then Tuesday, we'll see those overnight lows warming up to near freezing. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, and I will be back to talk about the Northeast region on Tuesday. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.